report released by the United Nations Environment Programme states that the concentration of greenhouse gases, such as carbon dioxide, in the atmosphere has increased by more than 30% since the year 2000. According to the UN, this is contributing to the climate change that is being experienced around the world, and warns that if the global climate crisis is not contained, sea levels will rise exponentially, disrupting rainfall patterns around the world. Will be irreversibly changed. Yes, we agree, but the UN has not mentioned the real villain of climate change. Subscribe our channel. In this video we will uncover the dark objectives of the UN, and world rulers, for humanity, through the narrative of climate change. They say that it is essential to implement urgent measures to mitigate and adapt to global warming, reducing greenhouse gas emissions. But do humans really have control over extreme weather conditions? We will show how there is a macabre global plan against excess humans, and the climate narrative is the ideal solution for implementing restrictive and enslaving measures towards humanity. The tactic on the part of governments around the world is always the same. When asked about the signs of extreme climate change, they state that carbon dioxide emissions are the major central problem, creating a misinformation scenario that gives humanity the impression that humans have control over their destiny regarding the Earth's climate. But the reality is very different, and they know it. The real villain of climate change and changes in all human subsistence patterns is the presence of a massive celestial body in our solar system, Nibiru. We know how much the UN wants a population reduction in the world. We know that meteorological models are distorted, creating scenarios where the obvious reasons for extreme weather are humans. It is not necessary to be very intelligent to understand that when we watch the statements of the greatest governments in the UN rostrum, we realize that in fact they place the blame for climate change on the shoulders of humans. Why? What is the sinister objective of this narrative? They know that the real villain is Nibiru, so why blame them on humans? Are humans to blame for the increase in volcanic activity? Are humans responsible for polar displacement due to the presence of Nibiru in our solar system? Blaming industries that burn coal and oil, producing these harmful emissions, effectively gives credence to pointing the finger at humanity, but is it still enough to cast human economic performance as the real villain? We believe not, and they know not. In fact, humans only have a small capacity to influence the global climate. Of course, urgent measures are fundamental for mitigation and adaptation in relation to pollution and deforestation of forests. We agree to maintain a clean and healthy planet. But the most important thing, which is not mentioned by world leaders, is that planet Earth is going through an accelerated planetary transition, just as it happened in the days of Noah, at the time of the universal flood. Human beings have no control or capacity to prevent the destruction that this celestial monster Nibiru is and will cause in our world. The UN is not preparing 7 billion people for the end of the world. That should be its global civic slogan. Nobody questions why the previous American president, Donald Trump, left the Paris Climate Agreement. He left because he is an intelligent man, and quickly realized that a global fraud is a narrative, with dark purposes, that slows down the economy and development of entire countries. But not only that, Trump knows that the origin of climate problems is not human, it is inevitable, and external to planet Earth. We have witnessed a large-scale worldwide increase in volcanic activity, earthquakes, major floods and, more seriously, the melting of glaciers at the poles, with countries like Finland issuing warnings about a heat wave for the first time in history. All Nordic countries are currently experiencing record heatwaves. However, we are witnessing the hypocrisy of a study led by NASA, points to an increase in the average sea level in 2023, largely attributed to the climate phenomenon El Niño. This analysis was conducted by NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. How is it possible? The world's largest space agency, knowing the origin of the problem for decades, knowing that Nibiru is the villain at the end of our civilization, uses public money for fraudulent studies. It's unbelievable how humanity is sleeping. Honestly, we believe that they will not awaken to the shock of chaos, because they are completely alienated in the system of slavery. Our hope is that the UN report comes at a time when humanity is no longer willing to accept the transparent lies, excuses and disinformation campaigns commonly used to explain the increasing amount of effects of extreme weather and disasters global. Why did they continue to use NASA and other agencies to lie to humanity, when it has become all too evident that humans do not have total control over the Earth's climate? NASA knows better than anyone that Nibiru is a huge planet, extremely magnetic, therefore its presence in our solar system is pushing the other planets out of their normal orbits. They know that our planet is reacting to the magnetic presence of Nibiru. Nibiru's gravitational power is causing holes in huge areas of the Earth. The Arctic is warming rapidly, the melting of those ice sheets is releasing large quantities of methane gas, dangerous because it is a greenhouse gas. The same is happening in Antarctica. With warmer ocean currents at the poles, weather patterns change significantly. That the Earth's climate is changing rapidly, there can be no doubt, but the reasons given by UN government agencies are absurd and fraudulent, because even if there is a global effort to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, it will not stop the apocalyptic global climate disaster, for the simple reason that the origin of the problem does not come from Earth, but from space, Nibiru, and they know it. Humanity has been conditioned to believe what they are told to believe in, experts, on TV and radio programs. We have become independent of these fraudulent sources because we know the truth, and we know that they also know the truth, but they prefer to continue to lie to humanity. They use public money to lie. When Nibiru reaches perihelion at the closest distance to Earth, you will watch the infrastructures of these agencies fall as they will no longer be able to justify geological upheaval and extreme weather events. Destruction of the global energy grid as their narrative has always been tired, fraudulent and obscure. To conclude, we will provide you with some data on the increase in global temperature warming models, volcanic and seismic activity. Increase in earthquakes 6% tripled in the last 10 years. Increase in underwater volcanic activity around the world. This is not publicized, it is occurring at the moment we are showing the video. Dramatic increase in typhoons, tornadoes, in regions of the Earth that have never experienced these phenomena. Dramatic increase in hurricanes. Increased flooding in coastal areas and rivers. Increase in dead birds and fish around the world. Increase in cases of albinism worldwide. Increase in temperature on the other planets in our solar system, something little publicized. Increased melting of permafrost in Siberia, resulting in massive amounts of methane. Increase in methane gas released into the atmosphere at the poles. Increased displacement of tectonic plates, landslides, buildings collapsing and rail lines being altered. Increased sounds of the Earth around the world. Increase in falling satellites. Final note, do you believe that all these phenomena originate from humans? Draw your own conclusions, because we at the Galactic Alert channel have already woken up from this zombie system a long time ago. Don't forget to subscribe our channel, and turn on all notifications. Thanks.